10 a.m. news? No, there's no 10 a.m. news. Let's just re-look at this bias quickly. Right, so price trades down to this area. Let's see. Okay, so we got a bullish gap at this point in the market. I believe price has traded into this area. Let's see. Yeah, so that's a bullish 5. The time frames that are difficult to keep up on top of, it's mostly the 5 and 15, but as long as you're referencing them to the left, then you'll be just fine. There's a bullish 15 as well. Still a bullish SMT on ES at London. Bullish hourly. You can see on the 4 hour it's bearish towards the next 4 hour low. So bearish there. Bullish, bullish, bullish. Still a bullish bias. Bearish on the 4 hour. No shift on the daily. I don't know how it hits it so off. So we're starting to shift. Not quite. Shit. NQZ. Alright, lovely. So we're starting to shift on NQ. No shift on ES just yet, guys. So this is good to see because we do have an order block on ES. So I'd like to see ES form a gap. So we'd wait for this candle to close and the next candle to close. So this candle closing on NQ does not give us the right to enter long off this gap, okay? So you must wait for the next candle closure on ES, which would likely just be an up close to shift further. So ES has already shifted. NQ's shifted as well, which is good to see. Just bear in mind on the 5, because this would give a bearish 5, which we got now. So we got a neutral bias. Okay, I may be half asleep, guys. I'm not half asleep at all. I'm just quite low energy. But we don't miss. You know, we don't miss on bias. So yeah, it's a bullish 15. It's a bullish hourly. It's a bearish 4 hour. We inverse the bullish gap on 10 a.m. closure. So that is very obvious to be bearish towards previous day low. No one can say anything about that. So as much as you would like to take a long here, we got a neutral bias. So this is the model, as you can see, but this is not a bias, so there's no positions to take. We do have that inverse bearish order block paired with the gap here. So models like these are very tempting to take, you know, especially for newer people, you know, they're very tempted to take a position. It's simply not valid. Our bias is neutral. We don't have a strong enough directional bias here. So that's pretty much it. You see, we got a bearish 5. You guys can hear me, right? Yeah. Alright, lovely. How are you doing today, Mr. Trader? Sam, did you manage to spend some time watching the 2022 mentorships or any videos on YouTube, mainly based off my channel? I mean, you don't have to watch my channel, or just generically just ICT videos. Yeah, Sam, that is correct. The more times you watch the 2022 mentorship, especially in the early stages, you're going to realize you missed certain points out. I personally watched the 2022 around 4 times. Yeah, order block wick for an inverse. You can see ES inverse the bearish order block by closing above, as you can see here. Our bias went to being neutral at this point, so we didn't take a position, nor did price give an entry either. So our 15-minute bias is still the same. Everything stands the same. Maybe the 5 will change. It's still the same. Milo ever have issues with stop loss on Trade Sinker? No. I've had it maybe once or twice that basically what would happen is that my lead account would close out, but the copiers wouldn't close out of the position. But that's why I have Trade Sinker open, because I hit the big red button, flatten all, if that doesn't essentially close me out. So I'm very much on that, like a hawk, but it always closes out. Don't need to hear any autistic rambling. Yeah. Yeah, we're all autistic, brother. Yeah, also a good idea, we will create a payout sheet inside of the PvP channel as well. Alright, so that's going to put us to the end of the macro. So we're going to wait for 10:45, 2nd AM. What makes this invalid trade? We had a neutral bias. Price didn't give an entry anyway. That's besides the point. Wouldn't have been taken regardless with a neutral bias. So we're going to wait for the 2nd day of macro. I'll speak to you guys shortly. So 10:35 I'll unmute my mic. We'll get onto our bias and then see what we get during the 2nd AM. Alright, yes guys, welcome to the 2nd AM macro. Wait one sec guys. Alright, so any trades this week, Milo? If you look inside of the P&L, so the yearly P&L channel, you can see that we took one position this week on Tuesday. It was in the 2nd day of macro, it was -1R. So this month we're currently basically just above break even, so 0.36R on the month, so relatively break even so far. We're going to get onto our bias now, so let's have a look. So 5 minutes been respected, so that's going to be a bullish 5. So the 15's bearish, that's clear as day. Hourly time frame. Still bullish. 4-hour time frame. It's bearish. No change for the daily. Neutral bias. So we'll be able to dictate a bearish bias if the 5-minute bullish gap gets inversed in 2 minutes. And that will give us a bearish bias, which we've seen a sweep of buy side. And the relative equal highs on ES. Price has shifted market structure. We do have a gap on ES, which you can see here, which is paired with nothing. Okay. Price shifted market structure on NQ, but there's nothing paired with a gap. So there wouldn't be anything of this standpoint as of now. So we can remove previous areas. This is now going to be relatively equal previous day low. Okay. New York open high. Yeah, NQ's the weaker asset, and we do have a bearish, almost a bearish bias, not quite. We'll have to see. It's currently neutral. One hour neutral. Yep, that's correct. ES did take the high, take the draw. That's correct. Bias is bearish. So we're just waiting for 10:45 here. So paired with this 1-minute bearish gap on NQ, you can see there's no bullish order block that's paired with it that got inversed. So there wouldn't be anything to take as of that point there. We've already swept buy side. Essentially, so this area here would be the invalidation low, because price has already shifted a lot. So we can still see a shift below this previous short-term low here. So what you can see here is that price shifted market structure, and then it shifted again. So this would be invalidation low. Always make sure, guys, if you ever have any questions and you're newer to the group, or you've been in there for quite a while and you haven't put anything in the chat, then feel free to ask anything, you know. That's what I'm here for, guys. No shift on ES. Got a shift on NQ, gap on both assets, but no shift on ES. what you think about having 1 or 2 PA Apex accounts with 1.5 or 2x more risk to be able to possibly scale faster. I think that's a very bad idea. It's not got any sort of longevity, and you're essentially just your first trade away from going straight to half position size, and essentially you're not even going to make any more substantial income from that anyway, so it's pretty pointless. How many trades will it take to pass a 50k alpha 0 following the model? So that's a 3k profit target. 2 to 1 to make 600. Well, obviously you're risking about 440, so that's 800 per trade. So essentially it would take around 6 to 7 positions ish to pass the account. So that includes, let's say we took a 1 to 2 losses between those 7 positions, you would easily pass. You only need obviously 4 winning trades to pass the account. So obviously NQ took the invalidation low, bullish SMT on ES, and a failed shift, so it's actually likely draw on ES is back towards the short-term high. So nothing as of now. Alright, so we're inside of macro. Just going to redo our bias because that's the 5-minute closure, which puts the 5-minute as bearish. So we've got a stronger bearish bias now. 15 still bearish. Hourly is still neutral. 4 hour is still bearish. So it's a nice, strong bearish bias. Quite a few ICT traders taking a short as of this point, especially the uneducated ones. You can see it's very obvious. I mean, there's no shift on ES. NQ takes invalidation low, bullish SMT on ES. ES has got 2 bullish confluences to draw high, even though we do have a bearish bias. It's very much out of favor. So we want to see price reprice back to the short-term high, take some buy stops, and then we can relook for a shift in market structure. Looking for longs, question mark? No. So we're looking for shorts. We got a bearish bias. Hopefully that makes sense. So we formed a bearish bias based off imbalances. But price essentially on NQ shifted below the invalidation low. There was no shift on ES, so there's no position. What is that? Oh shit.
Nappy.
So essentially ES does trade up and takes a point of buy stops. Preferably we want this high to get taken. We did take buy stops above this short-term high. So the new invalidation low is this point here. Bullish order block. Bullish order block. Market structure shift. Invalidation low on ES. Gets taken on NQ. Yeah, to be honest, brother, you won't find another Discord. It doesn't matter how hard you search on social media, you won't find another Discord like ours. I'll say that, and you know, a lot of other people will confirm that as well. Would I take a short on this for value gap? No. Why is that 1 minute low and validation low? So essentially the idea behind it is that price has already shifted back to a discount of this move higher from the first day of macro. So it's shifted enough, and it's actually at the point now where it's back to a lower time frame discount. And yes, the overall draw is that price seeks the relative equal previous day low. But the idea behind this is that price shouldn't shift to take out points of minor sell side. If that makes sense. So when you see this over a longer term basis, it will make sense a lot more. So ES can determine NQ's bias. Yeah, so just basically on the fact of, let's say we have a bullish bias on the hourly time frame on NQ. If ES takes the hourly high and we have that SMT at the hourly high, that would neutralize the hourly on NQ. So ES can only neutralize a bias. It can't form a bias. It can just neutralize an already existing bias, if that makes sense. As far as an SMT, that's all it is. Milo, I thought the invalidation was 1016. Yep, that's correct. So basically what happened in this case is that we had the invalidation low that NQ took. Price repriced higher on NQ, not taking any buy stops, but on ES we took a short-term high. Preferably I wanted this one to get taken, but we took the short-term high, trading out of the bearish order block, and then shifted, respecting bearish PDRAs. So the new invalidation low, so prices reseeked only a very small minor point of where buy stops would be resting, and respected the bearish PDRA, which is this bearish order block. Another bearish order block shifted, but then NQ took this invalidation low, hence why you wouldn't seek a short from that point. And when you look at this on a longer term basis, you know, when you look over 6 to 12 months, then you'll see that when price does take, and you guys have seen it from the point since October, that when price takes a point of lower time frame liquidity like this during a shift, then it's not something that you actually want to be in for a position. Once you open your firm, and if you don't trade live anymore, I'd still receive AM prep bias updates. No, I'm never gonna leave you guys stranded, you know, remember that. So we will always figure out a solution, and you guys are the top priority. So there is not going to be any cuttings of the live streams, you know. It's going to continue for as long as we possibly can. How much to buy into the fund? Well, as of now, we haven't done the legal papers, but we're looking to grow the fund to $20 to $50 million and continue to grow it. So I wouldn't say there would be a minimum. Well, there would be a minimum requirement, but essentially we haven't figured that out yet. So it's going to be more of a time game, because things like this, they don't get created overnight. There will be no risk towards the investor, absolutely no risk, because a lot of investors, they're not going to happily give over $1 million, because they think, you know, what am I going to do with their funds, right? So the way that it actually goes across is they sign a contract, which I give to them, and it's through the broker. So a lot of futures brokers, forex brokers, and stocks brokers, they offer a form essentially that you can sign, which gives me, it's like a mutual agreement between me and the investor that I have partial access to their account but not the withdrawal, and it copies onto their account. So that's how a lot of small hedge funds and small firms operate in the early stages before they get to the bigger leagues, you know. Yeah, I mean, so the figure in mind is that we'd be working off a 20 to 30% performance fee and a 2% management fee. That's basically it. So it would be a 20 to 30% performance fee. And investors essentially can choose to withdraw their capital whenever they like. But the actual the broker itself calculates the performance fee itself. It's always been the end goal to create a firm. It's not even to do with the money, but it's just always been an interest of mine. I mean, even when I went back to when I was around 17, 16, when I first started the journey, I used to stand in Canary Wharf just looking at the bank whilst losing money. So that's always been the end goal, and it's very easily achievable. But over the past 3-4 years I've been working towards it, so obviously you can't approach investors with nothing, no proof, etc. So I've built my data over the years, and I'm going to use 2026 as well and aim for a very I can't say the word phenomenal year as far as capital payouts and really showing growth year on year. And that'll be the overall selling point towards investors. Let's redo our buys. So between where we have this bearish gap and the bullish gap, that's neutral up to here, bearish above. So we do have a bearish 5 as of now. 15 still bearish. Yeah. One hour is the same. Yeah, I know you guys are quite interested in the firm. I'm not going to speak too much about it because there's a lot of work to be done, and I will keep you guys informed as big milestones are met. And obviously no one in the trading space, well, from what I've seen anyway, no one in the trading space has even considered or even crossed their mind, because they probably think, well, I mean, they don't even think about it. So yeah, exactly. You know, they do want to start a prop firm and take money from their audience, because whatever they put out or portray doesn't make their audience any money, so they profit in the prop firm space. I mean, I could sit here and make a video about my fund of futures or alpha futures, and they would sign me up on a contract. Why the fuck would I waste my time making a video of a prop firm? Cool, they paid me out. I don't need no performance bonus from a shit firm. I'll give you guys some insider information to do with these firms. I know them quite well. They even tell traders on social media whoever makes the best video gets to win a certain prize and stuff like that, and win accounts and whatnot. I'm not going to say which firm, and quite a lot of the firms do that. You know, their little marketing gimmick schemes. Everyone's running around to, you know, create a video and whatnot. I blocked him. Okay, so as of now, our most recent sweep is sell side. So we'd like to see price reprice and take a point of buy side. I wonder when New York daylight saving ends and it goes back to the 8:30 p.m. open. Let's see. Yeah, so the Bitcoin short, which we're still in, that just remains. I told you guys this takes months, and what we've seen since our entry is a very rapid decline in Bitcoin's price, which was kind of unexpected. I didn't expect it to drop that fast. Where it really just shows how much liquidation there really was and still is. So yeah, still an open position, as you guys know. Okay. No shift on NQ. Bullish 5. If you are a new trader who wants to copy trade you at first and learn how to quit copying by the time. What do you mean? What does that mean? If you are a new trader who wants to copy trade you at first, okay, so obviously you're following my positions and learn. Well, yeah, of course. So you're learning how to quit copying by then. Like how to get out of copying. Well, I mean, essentially, you'd be in the position where you wouldn't have to copy my positions once you know the model inside out, and you don't have to continue to watch me trade live. It's entirely down to yourself, but the live streams will still be here for you. You have your own model ? Are you asking me that question? I haven't adapted. I mean, I'd assume he was asking me that question. Essentially, yes, I do have a model which is adapted a lot to personal preference. Well, not personal preference, personal probabilities. As far as a bullish order block, please find one, guys. So no shift on NQ. This gap's not part of the shift. Price shifts. What's paired with this gap? Nothing. There's nothing paired on ES either. Yeah, the 75% rules for once you've passed the evaluation. It's not for the evaluation phase at all. You either lose the evaluation or you pass it. You don't manage risk on evals. So what you guys seen here in this scenario is price attempted to shift. It created a low, shifted, but then we look to see this shift, right? What's paired with this gap? This is not one shift. Price shift, as you can see, it's more clear on ES. So on ES, the first shift was a failed shift, and then you can see it re-shifted on price. So it's a lot clearer on ES, the second shift. And then you'd say, what's paired with this gap? And we don't have an inverse bullish order block paired with this gap. We're not paying attention to this gap because it already failed to shift and then it shifted below. So we're looking at this area here. I like to see price reprice back towards buy side, but we are leaning towards the end of the second AM. Is 1047 not an order block that has been inversed? So 1102 is a bullish order block, and so is 1059. You said 1047. Brother, what do you mean 1047? I'm very confused with your 1047. This candle was just a bearish gap. I really don't understand that one. If you're referencing this bullish, no, I don't know what you're referencing. I mean, you couldn't. This is not part of the model. This is not part of the equation. I'm slightly confused with that 1047. Rob G said, I've seen traders claiming to use ICT, but they use an opposing fair value gap instead of an order block. They'd pair the bullish fair value gap with the most recent bearish fair value gap. See, Rob, what you've just said there is it's such a mind fuckery to even read that message. But that is very, very true at the same time, because you are explaining 80 to 90% of ICT traders. They don't have a flying clue what they're looking at. Essentially, they're just teaching, and they don't even know how to teach themselves. So that's the end of the second layer macro. We're going to be looking at lunch. Okay, so I'll speak to you guys. Tarek, maybe that helps. Yeah, make sure you restart Discord. If you ever have any issues with audio and not hearing me, make sure you restart the Discord. That usually helps. Right, I'll speak to you guys for the lunch macros, so 11:35, and then we get down to our buys. Okay, so I hope everyone is doing well. Let's look at this lunch macro, and we're going to start by determining our bias here. Let's have a look. So the 5 minutes currently bullish towards the next 5 minute high, remain the same. You can see the 15 still bearish towards the next 15-minute low that price was just put in. Hourly time frame's the same. 4-hour time frame's the same. Price traded down on the 4-hour, traded up into the bearish, down towards 455. So we just see that. Okay, so we traded down to 455, which puts the 4-hour to be bullish. Okay, so we traded down to being bullish, traded up 4-hour, back to being bearish, traded down to 456, which puts the 4-hour as bullish, and we're bullish towards, on the 4-hour, towards 550. So we've got bullish bias. Okay, so looking at this lunch macro, you can see that we have a sweep of sell side, which is very obvious. Not so much on ES. Let's put a bullish SMT in place. Shift in market structure on NQ. Is that equal highs? It's been taken. Okay. Remove that. Alright, cool. So let's wait for this lunch macro, and we'll see whether we get any positions. The only point of liquidity you'd like to add to this is this point here, minus sell side. I'm going to change it to relative equal lows because it is. So we got a double set of relative equal lows. Can you repeat why the 4 hour is bullish? So you have to understand on the 4 hour time frame that we're trading out of two imbalances on this candle. We're trading out of this. Wait one sec. You are onto something there, because this bullish gap's already been inversed. Okay, so the only bias that's actually possible is bearish on the 4 hour. That's correct. Yeah, because that 4 hour's already been inversed. That was a good spot. So essentially we do have a bearish bias. That's how easy it can shift at points like this. We have obviously two neutral results. So the reasoning behind we actually had that bullish bias originally, if that 4 hour didn't get disrespected and it was respected, then it would form a bullish bias back towards the bearish gap. But because the trading into that bullish gap has no meaning behind it, because it's already been inversed, essentially what you're seeing here is actually a more preferred choice. This is very, very nice indeed. So what you can see is that we've taken minor buy side as of now. So previously we took sell side, and this high here would act as minor buy side of what we've just taken. We have two very clean draws lower on both assets. You know, we have London previous day low, relative equal previous day low, and equal lows, and a bearish bias as of now. So we're going to see is the 4 hour not neutral. Okay, so if we look at the 4 hour time frame, you can see we're trading out of this bearish gap on NQ, and it's not been inversed. So there's no reason to say why would it be neutral. It's not possible for it to be neutral. Okay, perfect. Price just took out these equal highs. I believe that is a set of equal highs. Let's just confirm that. Yep. Lovely. So just lower time frame equal highs. It's funny when I upload these live streams on YouTube, because when people see LTF, EH and REL, you're never going to guess what that actually stands for, and they think it's some special ICT concept, but it's just, you know, we don't write out the whole point of liquidity. Absolutely, Lewis. That is a very crucial point that you've said there, and I'm glad you said it because this is what so many of you guys will experience, especially when you're newer, is that when we go through slower periods like this, and yes, this is a slow period, many of you guys, I already know it, and you know yourself, right? You've lost accounts during this period. Maybe you've traded outside of the model. Not because it's an unprofitable Q4, it's actually a profitable Q4. So we're up over 4.3, 4.5 or whatever it is, right? So between this period, right, November, December, when it is slightly break even and price is not giving you an average month, right, where you're up already 5R on the month at this point, or you're up at least, 3R or whatever, these periods is where people lose their accounts, and you happily sit through the majority of this period and then get towards 75% of the way through, lose your accounts, and then for a month you have to regain those accounts again, and that next month, guess what, that's your either normal or exceeding month, and you go in that cycle, and that will really just top off pretty much the whole year. Alright, cool. So we're inside of the lunch macro. We've swept the lower time frame equal highs. We've just formed a bullish order block, and obviously we expect it to be respected. We've got an overall bearish bias, which we're going to re-look at in a second. So all we're looking for as of now is just stage 3. So ES just swept this high, which is a huge bearish SMT on NQ. NQ's the weaker asset. Very clean draws lower. I mean, it doesn't get cleaner than that as far as the draws. We have London lows, relative equal lows. If that wasn't enough, we have relative equal previous day low and previous day low on ES as well. So as of now, we're just looking for a shift lower in market structure. You can see the 5 minutes now shifted to being bearish. The 15's still bearish because we traded out of this bearish gap. The draw will be lower towards the next low, never got met. That's why we have those equal lows. So that's that obvious SMT as well that you guys can see. Okay, if we see a shift in market structure here, we will be taking shorts absolutely immediately. I mean, this is super clean. That's our market structure shift. If we get that shift on ES as well, this is absolutely textbook. We just want to see that shift on ES. Let's have a look at the stock placement. 25 points. 36 micros. Alright, cool, that's a shift on ES. I'm looking for an entry. So if ES taps the gap, I'll take an entry short. Let me just seek that stop placement. NQ, 40 points. Right, I'm taking entry short. Okay. It's a 40 point stop. So the point of sell side you can see is a 2.47 risk to reward. So we're targeting relative equal lows. This trade is absolutely textbook. It doesn't give us more probable edge, but it is actually a textbook trade. We're targeting these relative equal lows, so our TP is going to be at 459. And we're actually looking at a 2.5 risk to reward here as well. And then from TP to our break even, it's going to mark 50%. So that's our 0.5. So essentially the point that we go break even or trail stops, as soon as price takes out the first short-term low for price, we trail to the previous short-term high and goes for 50%. If price takes a low past 50% or has a bearish gap close in favor of the position past 50%, that would also be break even. And this rule stops you as a trader from trailing your position too aggressively, and it is extremely effective, the most effective way to trail your stops in a position. Yeah, to be honest guys, this water is actually the best in the game. This glass bottled water is my absolute favourite, to be honest. So you can see the current candle we're looking at here. If this closes with a bearish gap past 50%, that would be a point that we go towards break even. Make sure you monitor ES as well, because our overall draw is this low. So if ES or NQ takes the draw, then essentially you just close out of the position. So as you can see, as of now, we've not actually taken a short-term low, so we actually have a full open risk, and that doesn't change until we do take a short-term low. So hopefully that makes sense. So as soon as this candle closes and has this bearish gap, then essentially we would go towards break even, which is at, let me see on my trade sinker to see where break even's at 55150, and then on the live we've got, what's that, I can't really tell, is that 55175? Yeah. Okay guys, so trail towards break even. So wherever your break even is at, that's completely risk free now. So we don't actually trail our stops unless price puts in two previous short-term highs, then we would trail our stops into a profit. But as of now, we leave it entirely at break even. It lets price fluctuate. Many people trail too aggressively. You can also see clearly how algorithmic price action is. Extremely algorithmic. There's actually still no point to trail your position into a given profit. There's no point at all to trail. Still break even. So we're already over a 2R as of now. And you're probably asking the question as well, why do I run my buy limit? If you're newer to the space, why do I run my buy limit above the equal lows if we're targeting the equal lows? Well, the reason why I actually do that is because when price comes towards the equal lows and the majority of orders are at the equal lows, there can be cases when you get a partial fill at sell side. So for the sake of a couple points, by the end of the year, you actually make far more money by running your TP a few points above. I can see quite a few people pass their evaluation accounts as well, which is good to see. So essentially, as of now, I've just got my stop at break even, and that's pretty much it. So once price trades in favor and takes out the next low, we'll then trail to the previous high, or we get a break even result, one or the other. Yeah, so it appears as of now we're getting relatively close to break even. So there was a few points of our overall TP, and price is getting relatively close to break even here. So we'll see if we get a break even result. We'll see a lot of people passed evals off this trade, but this is likely going to be a break even result. Price is repricing higher. Yeah, this candle here is the one that would likely take us out of the position. But yeah, so as far as managing this position, etc., it has been absolutely to the T. And trailing stops as well. It was an absolute textbook trade, and it appears that we're going to get a break-even result. There you go, break-even. Okay. So original entry was at 151, which was a 38-point stop. It was a 2.13 towards the 1 minute low. Relative equal lows was at a 2.5. Well, that pretty much concludes our Thursday session. I mean, we was a few points off and it trailed back to break even, so that's pretty much it. So essentially, yes, price did actually hit a 2-to-1 from taking a point of a first 1 minute low, and we had it at a 2.5. But that's perfectly fine. We'll have to add that to the positions of December. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed the stream today. Regardless, I mean, you know, regardless if I was floating up, I don't know how much I was floating up, but anyway, we got a break-even result. that's the result that we got. As far as taking TP, in the grand scheme of things, TP should have been taken at this low. I seen the relative equal lows for 2.5. The first draw, well, the closest point to a 2-to-1 was actually this 1 minute low here. But it's perfectly fine. Break even result. So we're going to have to monitor price tomorrow at the New York Open. We shall be live at 9:20 AM. So I'll upload this stream on YouTube as well. If you want to rewatch it, feel free to do so. Alright, I'll speak to you guys shortly for 9:20 AM tomorrow.